Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones, coming to you a little bit later than anticipated this week because I was waiting on some announcements that have taken place here as Purdue has its roster pretty much completely put together for the upcoming season. Omer commits earlier here today on Wednesday, and then Liam Murphy comes into the fold in the evening, really putting Purdue's roster, to the finish line here ahead of this upcoming season. We're going to talk about these two additions. We're going to talk about what Purdue's going to look like this upcoming year and kind of talk about how the hype is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger as we progress towards arguably the most anticipated season in Purdue history. If you don't already, be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. You can always send over questions there. You can also email the show, boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your episodes. We will be here all summer. We'll be talking Purdue football. We'll be talking Purdue basketball. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here all the way up until football season gets started and then diving right into that. So be sure to subscribe. Congrats to our bracket challenge winner. We had Go Vols win it. If you are not a Tennessee troll, hit me up, send me a message on Twitter, send me an email, and we'll get you on the show here. If not, I know the guy who finished second, so we'll get him on the show if I don't hear anything from Go Vols. But anyways, so Purdue's roster is pretty much complete now. Omer was the one that was the worst kept secret in the world. That one had gotten out pretty good. We've reached the point now where the stuff that's posted behind paywalls is getting tweeted out like crazy from people. So there aren't many secrets left. Omer was kind of a long time coming for Purdue. I know he visited here over the weekend after he was at the Nike Summit out in Portland. A really, really nice ad for Purdue. A really priority ad. Someone that Purdue really liked. I don't know exactly how to evaluate international guys because it's not like there were recruiting sites on him. He was playing professionally overseas. This isn't like someone who, was like Zach Edey and from Canada but played at IMG or anything like that. This was someone who was playing professional basketball overseas, playing on the same team as Travion Williams. Kind of a small world thing there, but playing against grown men, and is now going to come play college basketball at 18 years old. A great ad for Purdue. A really nice ad. There are questions. It seems like in terms of skill set, he's more of a true point guard, which long-term is perfect for Purdue because Purdue does not have that point guard heir apparent to Braden Smith yet. It may now, which was always a dangerous thing to speculate on because nobody will replace Braden Smith. That's just not going to happen. There's a reason he is the best guard in the history of Purdue basketball. He's borderline irreplaceable, but this seems like a very, someone who can complement off the ball a little bit. He seems more than capable of, running some stuff through him to where Braden Smith can play off the ball and can hunt some more shots, something that Purdue tried to do a little bit at times this year, and something that's very effective. He's a very good three-point shooter, especially when he's able to let it come to him and he doesn't have to hunt it. This is someone who can really help from a ball handling perspective, something that Purdue, you can never have enough of. You really can't. He can really shoot it. He's a legitimate scorer. There's a lot to like about Omer. The fit for this year, I think you can play him off the ball. I think you could look at him starting. I don't love the conversations here in April as to whether he will start or not because there's a lot of practice basketball to be played. There's a lot of time left, but it certainly seems plausible that you could start him and have a backcourt of Smith, Lawyer, and Omer Meyer and be in a really good spot there. And you'd have some real talent coming off the bench as well with Jakari Harris, with CJ Cox. We will see how Jack Benter or Antoine West factors into things. But this is a really deep backcourt now. This is four big, obviously two guys who are in their fourth year as starters, one of which might be the best player in the country. Two guys who played a lot as freshmen. You get Meyer in there, who's very, very intriguing. Someone to really like. This is a deep backcourt. That doesn't even mention Jack Benter or the possibility of Antoine West. This is a pretty full house back there with a lot of talent. This is a very, very strong backcourt. I think there's a ton to be excited about. And with Meyer, again, I have no idea here exactly what to expect. I don't like throwing the idea of him being a one and done out because it doesn't seem like that is necessarily the trajectory he's on. Jonathan Gavoni over at ESPN wrote a little commitment story where, he discussed learning under Braden Smith this year before he really assumes the reins of the point guard position at Purdue after that. So we'll see. I mean, anything is possible, but I would operate under the assumption here that this is going to be a multi-year trajectory for Omer Meyer, and he does have 4 years of eligibility to play at Purdue. He doesn't have any age issues or anything the way sometimes you've seen players come over at 20 years old or something and have some eligibility concerns. But no, this is a really big get. And then Purdue wasn't done. Purdue adds Liam Murphy, the 6'7" wing guy, probably more of a 4 from North Florida. Very veteran player. He was a graduate student there. He's only played 3 seasons of college basketball, but it's been pretty spread out. He had a whole season that he sat out. Look, this was a spot that was going to be really tricky for Purdue to fill because Purdue has a very full roster at this point. Purdue has a very full lineup here. Purdue is very, very veteran. You're looking at Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Renn, Oscar Clough. These guys aren't going to sit much. These guys are going to play a ton for you. You didn't bring Omer Meyer in to sit much. CJ Cox and Jakari Harris are more than worthwhile of getting serious minutes. So in this role here, you're looking for someone who's going to play very limited minutes. You're looking for someone who will back up Trey Kaufman-Renn at the 4 a little bit. You're looking for someone who maybe in a pinch can play the 3 a little bit. This is a really limited role. So Purdue's list of potential suitors here was going to be limited. It wasn't going to be these guys who were conference players of the year and were getting the massive interest from everyone in the country out of the portal, because those guys are going to go play big roles somewhere. As I've said, this isn't fantasy basketball. You can't just draft a roster and send it out there. This has to be something where it fits for everybody. And with Liam Murphy, I think this is the right fit. This is someone who has put up good numbers, right? He averaged 13 points a game at North Florida. He shot well, over 40% from 3. But it's not like this guy played off the bench at North Florida. He only started 2 games last year. Now, he played over 23 minutes a game, so he played starter minutes to a degree. But for Purdue, this is a guy who is going to play a limited role for you, and you had to bring someone in that was okay with playing a very limited role on a team that is national title good. And that's what Purdue got here. You weren't going to get some, top transfer to come play this very limited role. But all in all, we're here today on April 16th, and I guess the portal is open till April 22nd. So I'd be shocked if anything happened, but you never know. At this point, this has been an unequivocal win for Purdue this offseason, and we're just less than a month in. For anyone that is in the position of Purdue, where you're at a power conference program, and yes, Purdue's one of the best ones out there, but for anyone, if you can go in to the offseason and know that you're not going to lose any of your top 3 scorers, you're not going to lose any of your top 4 scorers that are returning, and I'll leave Daniel Jacobson out of that. Trey Kaufman-Renn, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, CJ Cox are your top 4 returning scorers. You get all of them back. Yes, you lose Cam Heide and Miles Colvin. Would you have loved to keep them? Sure, maybe. But I don't think you really downgraded here by replacing them with Omer Meyer and Liam Murphy by any means. I think you probably upgraded there. Those are really good replacements for Purdue. Those are guys that fit what you need to do well. You lose Brian Waddell and Will Berg this offseason, and you add Oscar Clough. This has been a huge win for Purdue. This is a team that is significantly better than it was when it left the floor at Lucas Oil Stadium a couple weeks ago, and that was a pretty good team. It was. That was a solid team that had a really nice year, that was in the top 25 all year, that was top 4 in the Big Ten, made the Sweet 16, and was a couple seconds away from going to an Elite Eight. And Purdue has gotten significantly better since then. That is a major win for Purdue here. This is a Purdue team that is a number 1 in the country contender going into next year. It absolutely is. I don't know if it will be. It doesn't matter other than for fans to get excited about, but I would challenge anyone, when you look at this team and you look at everyone in the country who has the most proven production that you feel really good about, your answer is Purdue. And Omer Meyer's not proven at the college level. That's okay. I think you feel wonderful about where this Purdue team is. It's going to be right up there with the favorites to win the national title. It's going to be the favorite to win the Big Ten. This is going to be all hands on deck. And this is really where Purdue's gone this year. This is Purdue going all in on next year being the year, which is the right thing to do. Because you look at Liam Murphy, you look at Oscar Clough. These guys are one and dones at Purdue. They're in their last year of eligibility. They're going to play 1 year and they're going to move on. So after next season, yeah, it'll be a bit of a changing of the guard at Purdue. But this is Purdue going all in, putting all of its chips to the center of the table on 2026 being the year that it brings home its first national title. And while there's nothing, no way of predicting that, the NCAA tournament can be a real random spin of the wheel sometimes, Purdue's doing everything in its power to make sure that next year is that year. On offense, this looks like an absolutely lethal group. Purdue will need to figure out how to play Oscar Clough and Trey Kaufman-Renn together a little bit. Purdue's offense will need a little tweaking because you will have a scoring threat at center next to Trey Kaufman-Renn. Whether that's Daniel Jacobson in whatever capacity he's ready to be a scoring threat, or Oscar Clough in a more limited scoring role than he played at North Dakota State. North Dakota State, I think, or South Dakota State. He was at South Dakota State. My Dakotas are all messed up. He's going to play a more limited scoring role, but he's going to be a threat to score. So Trey Kaufman-Renn will have to adjust there a little bit, but I don't think that's anything too crazy. Purdue's going to have some backcourt scoring. Braden Smith can really score. Fletcher Lawyer can really score. Omer Meyer looks to be a real scorer. You know what you have in Jakari Harris and CJ Cox, and those two, in theory, can get a little bit better. I don't think there's some, whole next element to their game, but I do think they can continue to get refined a little bit more and continue to improve. Offensively, this team looks dynamite, and you got Jack Benner who can really shoot it off the bench. We'll see defensively what this looks like. I know the hand-wringing that is out there is about athleticism and how that works defensively. Look, athleticism is what it is, right? It's only worthwhile if you know how to use it. And Miles Colvin and Camden Heide did an all right job on defense. They were fine defenders, but it's not like you're losing, it's not like you're losing Chris Kramer or Nojel Eastern out there. These guys are replaceable. Purdue will look different on defense just solely because it will have someone at the rim who can be any type of presence. That was Purdue's biggest problem last year, was that, it didn't have elite guys on the perimeter that were real stoppers, but if you got by them, it was 2 points. Purdue had no rim protection to speak of. It had no rim protection, and Trey Kaufman-Renn couldn't afford to be in foul trouble, and really Caleb First couldn't either. Purdue was running with a skeleton crew last year, and it did quite well, given its limitations it had. With Oscar Clough and with Daniel Jacobson, that problem is solved to a degree. The proof has to be in the pudding, but I think you feel much better about that. That alone should help your defense improve. And, Purdue has put together some really good defenses based on team defense concepts that have been effective. Have they been perfect? No. Purdue's not going to do what Houston did and have the athleticism to just come at you and punch you in the mouth. But Purdue's also going to be a more efficient, better offense than Houston ever was. There are trade-offs here. I think in the portal era, it is almost impossible to go into a season as complete as Purdue is. I don't know, and we'll see, because I haven't been able to pay enough attention to everyone else in the country. How could you? It's impossible with how fast everything's going right now. But I don't know that it's really an option to have so many guys coming back or coming in to where there's no possible hole you can poke in a roster. I don't know that that's possible, but boy, when you look at this team, sure. I mean, if you want to point to athleticism, that's fine. I'm not gonna fight you on that, other than to just say, if that's your biggest issue, you're in a pretty good spot here. Purdue's got a really complete group. Purdue has a lot here to like. You have depth in the backcourt. You have depth in the front court. We'll see what this does for Raleigh Burgess. Obviously, it's well documented that he's dealt with some injury stuff here. This probably gives you a little bit of leeway on him. You don't feel the absolute panic to get him on the floor next year. Does that mean he redshirts? I don't know, but it gives you the opportunity to do that if you need to. If you don't, great. He can play a mixed role on an as-needed basis probably, but it gives you some flexibility there, and it gives you a lot of options when you look at this, and that's what Purdue wants here. You have options here as to what you want to do, and that's a really good spot to be in. This is going to be a really, really anticipated year. There's no other way to put it. Purdue got the official quote-unquote announcement that Braden Smith will be back. There was never a whole lot of credible reason to believe that he was going to leave, but that was always a welcomed thing for fans to see that he's going to be back. Here you go, guys. I mean, this is it. This is Purdue being all in. This is Purdue looking to go do it all. And if Purdue can do it, boy, is it going to be quite something. This is your roster to do it. This is your supremely veteran roster in an era where there aren't a ton of veteran teams, certainly not with continuity, where you have so many players who have played together, and then you add in Oscar Clough and Liam Murphy, who have played a lot of college basketball. You add in Omer Meyer, who hasn't played college basketball, but he's played professional basketball against and alongside some really good college players. I mean, Travion Williams is an all Big Ten guy, and Omer Meyer is playing with him over in Israel. A really, really interesting situation. So, yeah, this is your roster to do it. This is going to be a loaded up non-conference schedule. Purdue is going to get challenged right away. Alabama, Marquette, Auburn, Iowa State, MTE pending, 20 Big Ten games. This is going to be a loaded up schedule. Purdue's going to have that target on its back. And, if you're a competitor, there's no other way you want it. This episode is brought to you by me. Yes, me. When I'm not watching sports, or more accurately, talking about them, I'm talking insurance with the people of Indiana. As an agent with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, I want to help you protect what you've worked hard to achieve. From home and auto to life and business insurance, I'm here to help you. Give me a call at 317-846-5861 or email me at jordan.jones@infarmbureau.com, and let's protect you from life's everyday risks. Looking ahead to next year, Braden Smith will probably be the preseason frontrunner for National Player of the Year. We'll see what the A.J. DeBonsa kid at BYU comes in terms of fanfare, but he gets the Cousy Award a week or so ago. Another great honor for him. Purdue has two really great stories here that are the two best players on its team. Braden Smith coming in as an under-recruited, very unheralded player and turning into this is a really, really cool story. I don't want to say this was obvious because it never was. It was obvious that Purdue got a steal in him from day one. But the way he's developed, the way Purdue has really evolved its offense to utilize his strengths and feature the strengths of its big guys in a different way with the ball screen action and with what Braden Smith can do there is really, really cool. It really debunks the narrative of Purdue being a stubborn program, of Matt Painter being stuck in his ways, which has always been a nonsensical narrative to begin with, but it's existed. And you see that again with the way he's used the portal and using the international recruiting scene here. Really, really good stuff. It really is. Braden Smith is going to come back with a real chance to win a National Player of the Year award and cement his legacy as, not just one of the best players in Purdue history, but one of the best players in Big Ten history. If he could get to a second Final Four, and goodness, if he can win a national championship, you're looking at an all-time career here. And with Trey Kaufman-Renn, I remember when he came in and there was conversation about him redshirting. At the time, it was surprising, right? Trey Kaufman-Renn was like a borderline top 50 recruit coming out of Silver Creek. He was very highly regarded. And he redshirts, and that doesn't line up with what you normally see. That was the perfect storm of a time to do it, where you had Travion Williams and Zach Edey on that team. You had Mason Gillis, and Caleb First probably fit what that team needed better. But to redshirt him was a bit eyebrow-raising. And then he plays very sparingly that next season. And then he starts every game as a redshirt sophomore, but plays a very limited role. And then he waits his turn and becomes a first-team all-conference guy. I know CBS had him as a third-team All-American. You don't see that, but that is the perfect example of what a redshirt year can do for somebody. Because now, instead of this being Trey Kaufman-Renn's last year, he has another one on the back end. Because let's face it, his opportunities would have been limited that first season. Even if he was fully healthy, an injury was part of that. His opportunities would have been limited. And then with Zach Edey there, it's not like he would have been a featured piece. But now you get 2 years of Trey Kaufman-Renn as your featured guy in the front court, and he's going to put up some great numbers. He's going to walk out of there with a wonderful, wonderful career. That's the beauty of a red shirt. That's what the ideal is. And while it doesn't work out perfectly for everyone, it really did for Trey Kaufman-Renn, and that's something really cool. This senior group is putting itself in a position to, quite frankly, go down as the best class in the history of Purdue basketball. And there have been some good ones, man. There have been some really good ones. But this is going to be a really, really anticipated year. It's going to be a really, really fun one. We're going to preview the Big Ten here more probably into May when the portal closes and when we have a clearer idea of what things are going to look like across the landscape next year. Michigan spending some real money. Sounds like UCLA is putting together a solid team, but we're going to hold off on that. And we're going to hold off a couple weeks on talking Purdue football. As you guys probably know, the spring showcase was last weekend. Purdue did not hold a spring game, as it sounds like those are going the way of the dodo bird here. You've probably seen your last standard black and gold spring game. The portal open is window. Goodness, portal window is open now. And you've seen plenty of departures. You've seen plenty of guys hop in across the country. I think there are 1,000 names in there now. I saw you've seen guys who left Purdue back in the winter who are already back in the portal. I saw Ryan Brown. I saw Joseph Jefferson are in the portal already. JP Dieter, an old friend who's in the portal. It's going to happen. So we'll wait for the dust to settle a little bit more there. Want to pick some brains here, get a little more insight on what's going on. But obviously, Purdue's got a lot of work to do on the football front. It really does. If you look at some of the sports books right now, Purdue's got a win total of 3.5, and it's heavily juiced to the under. So we're going to talk about it. We're not going to cover it any differently here, but we're going to wait a couple weeks here before really diving in post-spring, looking at where Purdue is, maybe have a guest on who knows a thing or two, but I just wanted to share that with you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything, guys. We'll be talking to our bracket challenge winner. We'll be talking more here in the coming weeks. Shoot me some stuff you guys want me to talk about, some guests you want me to have on. I have a few thoughts lined up here ahead of the summer, have some summer ideas, but anything you guys want to talk about, guys, let me know, and we'll go from there. But thank you for listening. I appreciate all of you. We're 5 seasons in the books now. Looking forward to number 6 coming up this fall. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Take care.